My 23 male girlfriend, 21, and I have been together for a year and a half. Her family is super sweet and I get along great with them. Now, my girlfriend's dad is pretty well off. He always foots the bill every time I've gone to dinner with her family. Her family have been great to me. They always welcome me in their house. I went on a vacation with them back in the winter. Her parents paid for our hotel for the entire week, and her dad gave her money for food. Granted, it was for her brother and myself. I also only paid for half of my flight because my girlfriend offered to pay for the other half. So the only thing I had to pay for was food a couple of days out of the trip, which my girlfriend pitched in and helped with. This past weekend, my girlfriend, myself, her younger brother, and her dad went out for brunch. I spent the weekend with her anyway, so she invited me to join them. Before we left, she and I talked, and she mentioned how I might offer to pay for brunch for all four of us. She assured me that her dad would 1000% refuse to let me pay, but he would probably really appreciate and respect me for offering. Now, I may sound like an idiot, but I honestly laughed at her suggesting this. I told her I would offer to cover her and my portion of the bill, but to expect me to offer to cover the entire bill is absurd. Sure, I work a full-time job and all of that, but I have my own bills and stuff to worry about, and she wants me to offer to pay for a $150-ish brunch. She told me that if her dad accepted, which she could 100% guarantee that he wouldn't, she could send me half of the bill. I continued to laugh and told her I wasn't doing that. I'll offer to pay for our half, and that was it. I asked her if the roles were reversed, would she offer to pay for the bill for my family? 8 of us in total, including my girlfriend. She said that's completely different. That's 8 people, not 4. We both have very different upbringings regarding the situation I mentioned about paying the bill. She grew up in a decently well-off family, where they constantly argued about who would pay the bill because everyone in her family would always offer out of courtesy. I grew up very differently, as I come from a family that wasn't financially well off. So if someone offered to foot the bill, you'd just sit back and let them do it. When we went out to brunch, I offered to cover both her and my portion of the bill, but her dad immediately refused and covered the whole bill. She gave me an "I told you so" look. She thinks I was an idiot for how I reacted to the situation and says I should have trusted her. She told me she needed some space because my reaction to the whole situation was kind of a turn-off to her, and she needed to think about things. Am I the idiot? You weren't obligated to offer, but yeah, you are the idiot for not having any modicum of courtesy or generosity, given how much her father has treated you to. Do you have no shame or self-respect? And your girlfriend was right that he wouldn't let you pay, plus no risk to your finances since she offered to pay half if she was wrong. You sound like a leech, a selfish one too. Don't be surprised if this seriously damages your girlfriend's attitude towards you. OP, it's common courtesy to pay back the favour of at least offering to pay the bill once in a while, since you can afford it. Your girlfriend's parents seem like generous and overall great people. You'd be doing yourself a disservice by not nurturing that relationship. The fact that they're well off doesn't mean their generosity should be taken for granted, and it seems you're doing just that. I'm wondering if she pushed him to offer to pay because he has a generally bad attitude about money around her parents, and she's embarrassed. Or her dad noticed and said something, and she realised that he was being discourteous and was trying to get him to show Dad OP isn't as rude as Dad thinks. OP, you somehow found a way to lose a win-win scenario. I grew up poor and I would never have acted like you. He is a freeloading mooch. Geez, I wouldn't be surprised if she broke up with him. I'm from a similar culture to his girlfriend and my husband is not. When we were dating, if our parents were involved in a meal, my dad insisted on paying for everything. The first time my husband said, "Okay, I'll get the next one." The second time he was like, "Wait, why did you pay? I'm supposed to get this one." He went to the bathroom the third time and paid for the check instead. Instant respect. No coaching was needed from me. That's how it's done. I got a new job in another city. The new job pays a lot better than my last job. The problem is that my new job is 13 hours away from my ex's city, and we have a teen daughter together. My daughter wanted to come with me. We've been here for a few weeks, and she's enjoying our new home and school, and has already made new friends. The problem is my ex wants to keep our last custody agreement. We didn't go to court, so it's just something we agreed on, which is 1 week with me and 1 week with her, which just doesn't work anymore because she has to go to school. Now she wants to change it to weekdays with me and weekends with her, but I think it would be a waste of money to buy so many plane tickets, especially since my daughter doesn't exactly care about seeing her, and it will also be very tiring for her. I offered to send my daughter there once a month, but my ex thinks I'm an idiot. Sure, I can afford to send her every week, but she is a teenager with a life, and I think every week is too much, and my daughter agrees with me. So I think offering once a month is actually a generous offer. So, am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You moved 13 hours away knowing you have a teen daughter. How did you think this would have ever worked logistically? Did you think your ex would just relinquish her parental rights? Your ex should get an attorney and take you to court immediately. She'll probably win, as you were the person who chose to move away. You are the person denying equitable visitation, not your ex. OMG, how do you think changing a 50-50 custody agreement to one where your ex sees her child 2 days a month is remotely fair? Are you planning on seeking child support on top of that? Also, most states it's illegal to transport a child over state lines without the consent of both custodial parents. I'd be surprised if you don't end up in court for taking her daughter 13 hours away. Exactly. The best part is that because it's been a short time, the court case will be in the old location. It's in your child's best interest to maintain a healthy relationship with her parents. If concern for your daughter were paramount, you'd do this differently. It sounds like you're way more concerned with sticking it to your ex. Agree. OP is mad at his ex and uses their daughter to take it out on her. I can almost guarantee it. Your ex has every right to be upset, and she has every right to not be happy with the new arrangement. And you're acting ridiculous to expect a parent to not want to see their daughter for more than once a month. You're not a single dad, so you can't make these plans unilaterally without a headache. And now you're facing the headache. Good luck in court. I, 27 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 25, for 3 years. My girlfriend has always had really bad and unmanaged anxiety as well as codependency. Her family has always coddled her and held her hand about these things, rather than teaching her how to be independent. Meanwhile, I've always been informed and had to figure out things myself and grow up early on. She still sometimes acts like a child, and as our relationship progresses, this is starting to become unattractive and exhausting. She always needs me to do everything with her and has zero self-confidence or believes she can do things herself. Recently, she wanted a new car. She's never bought a car before, so I spent the whole weekend helping her visit dealerships and choose a car. The day she went to pick up the car she picked, I wasn't available, so she went with her dad. At the time, the dealership had a limit on how much you can put down via a debit card, so she put down half and needed to return with the rest via a check. I was unaware of this. The dealership is about 25 miles from our home, so it wasn't close. A few weeks go by, and we get invited to my friend's birthday at a brewery. She told me we needed to stop at the dealership because they called and wanted the rest of the deposit. I was confused and asked why she'd waited so long, and she said she wasn't going to go unless her dad or I could go with her, and he wasn't available. I said, okay, whatever, we'll stop there. We get to the place, and all she needs to do is walk in, hand the guy a check, and leave. So since the parking was bad there, I suggested I drop her off, and while she was handing in the check, I could turn the car around so we could just keep going. Well, rather than going inside, she starts crying and panicking about how she can't go inside unless I go with her. I told her no, I'm not going to do that, and that she needs to start believing in herself and facing her fears, and that she can't depend on me to be there every time or wait till I'm available. She started crying and said that she really needed her partner right now, and I told her no, she needed to grow up, be an adult, and learn to handle some stuff on her own. I told her to let her depend on me to be her buffer, for the world isn't fair to her or me. So she fussed but went in and did it. And when she came out, she said I was an idiot for not being supportive when she needed me. Edit, I would like to add she's against therapy and says she doesn't need therapy when she has me. So I've become her crutch, and it's exhausting. Not the idiot. If she's not willing to see a therapist, then she's unwilling to help herself. This is what your life will be looking like forever if you stay together. Is she worth it? I would make this a deal breaker. Either she goes to therapy and gets help, or you break up. This relationship will not work out because she cannot do anything herself, it seems. Either she goes to therapy in good faith with a genuine desire to improve and address this and other issues, or you break up. It's all too easy to go to therapy and sit there for an hour, staring at the therapist, saying nothing, then be able to claim, I went to therapy, what else do you want from me? Absolutely. I doubt OP could count on her in case he needed it. Anxiety is a limitation, not an excuse. Unfortunately, my anxiety is through the roof most days. Every time I've gone to a dealership or somewhere significant, or foreign, I become incredibly nervous, uncomfortable, and quiet. But I do it. How else are you supposed to acquire a job, house, car, etc. without growing a pair and making it happen? You know what would make me even more nervous? Insisting others coddle me constantly. She waited weeks to deliver this check, rather than just mailing it. She can have crippling anxiety and still be able to figure out how to adult, and she won't grow up because her parents still enable her behavior. OP, it's ultimatum time. Either she wakes up now, or she'll return to her parents and look for another schmuck. My 24 female sister Hannah, 21, is getting married in May. She's been planning her dream wedding since before she was engaged and has a very specific image of what she wants. We picked out the bridesmaid dresses in January, and they're all the same style but with different shades of the same colour. Unfortunately, in late March, I was diagnosed with a condition that I'm going to be receiving treatments for via port until mid-June. Due to the port's placement, the neckline of the bridesmaid dress I'm supposed to wear is extremely uncomfortable. So when we went in for our final fittings, I requested that the neckline be slightly looser to accommodate this. Hannah was angry by this request because, in her words, it made the dress look trashy because all of the other dresses were very fitted and mine would be a bit bigger on top. I told her that if she wanted me to wear the dress, then it would need to be altered to be more comfortable. I was then informed that my dress looking out of place would be something she remembered when thinking of her wedding. She said I was selfish for not sticking through mild discomfort for one day to make her dream wedding a reality. It hurt to hear that, and after considering my options, I pulled out of the wedding. I let her know and said that I'll still come to the wedding and wear an approved dress, but I'm not willing to place perfect pictures over my own comfort. This has caused a rift in our relationship and an argument between the wedding party. The maid of honour sent me a message chewing me out for pulling out a month before the wedding, and I'm honestly not sure how to feel about the whole situation. On the one hand, I feel guilty for not supporting my sister, but on the other, I'm hurt by her placing her wedding over me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Don't disturb your port just so your sister can have perfect pictures. No one but her will care that your neckline is slightly different. Everyone who's gotten married, how many times since have you gone back and looked at your wedding photos? How often have you looked at your bridesmaid dresses and critiqued them? Literally, never. Exactly, I actually look at my photos frequently, the Facebook album anyway, and the silly ones are my favourites because they have memories attached. My favourite wedding photo is when my niece cried hysterically because she wasn't allowed on my lap during the ceremony. My sister-in-law was trying to pull her off and it was caught. I'm planning on using that photo when she gets married. All my favourite photos are silly. You're not altering the dress to spite her or for looks. You have an unexpected medical condition, and this is one little thing you need accommodation for. Honestly, she's the idiot for putting looks first and your medical condition second. Her maid of honour is also an idiot for taking it upon herself to chew you out. Out of curiosity, have you shared this with your mom? What's her take on all this? Our parents are paying for over half of the wedding and they aren't super happy but staying out of the drama. My mom says I made the right choice by pulling back as a bridesmaid, which means a lot given that she's also had her fair share of medical treatments. I haven't heard as much from our dad, but last I knew, he was contemplating pulling back on the amount he's willing to pay. Hannah's future in-laws are, "It's the bride's day, it has to be perfect" type, which is probably part of why this is happening. I'm fully expecting her soon-to-be mother-in-law to hysterically threaten me within the next day or so. My 35 female husband, 38, and I are what you would call Disney adults. We used to work for the parks in college and met there. For us, it has sentimental value and is something we both loved from childhood. Now, we are conscious of not being those Disney adults. We can hold conversations outside the movies and parks. We both work well-paying jobs unrelated to the company. We have other hobbies and interests. Our son isn't big on Disney and we're cool with that. It's just something that we enjoy, as well as our daughters. We nurture all of our children's hobbies and interests. We also don't blow all our money on this stuff. I know I may sound overly defensive, but we get a lot of comments from people who don't know us well. Anyway, we live in a renovated farmhouse on a bit of land that includes a barn that we finished, hoping to make it a guest house one day. In the meanwhile, we've had a relative get married here, and it was gorgeous. Now, my sister, 28, wants to get married on our property, and we were all for it. Everything's been planned for months, and the wedding is in June. It's set to be outside completely, but if it rains, we can move the party into the barn. The only reason a guest would have to go into our house is to use the bathroom. We have 2 on the first floor. The only Disney items are Winnie the Pooh hand towels. I told my sister I'd replace them with regular ones. The wedding space has no Disney items. However, she wants me to take down everything Disney on the first floor of my home, as guests will see. We have many items: pictures, paintings, blankets, Funko Pops, decorations, figurines, dishware, etc. All made for adults, and a lot of it is subtle or vintage, but you can still tell it's Disney. 1, this would be a massive undertaking. It's more complex than shoving stuff in a closet. We'd have to pack it up and find a place to store it. The sheer amount would require at least 2 hours of packing, not to mention storage and unpacking after. 2, it's ridiculous to me. Who cares if people see? She says it looks tacky and she doesn't want people to remember her wedding for that. I told her no, we're decorating the outside and barn as she wants. We're letting her use our property for free, which she keeps bragging about to friends as it's saving them a ton. When my husband and I stood firm, she whined to our parents, who told us to grow up and take it down. Bridezilla throws a tantrum, tale as old as time. Not the idiot. Your sister doesn't want her wedding to be associated with Disney. Your sister wants full control of the space and decoration. I have an idea. She should rent her own venue. Seriously, enforce your boundary and say that's as far as you're willing to go. She needs to rent a different venue if she wants to change everything. Her sister needs to let it go. I'm so sorry. Let her learn to take things with a spoonful of sugar. Oh, and tell sister to rent portable bathrooms. Problem solved. No reason for anyone to go in the house. This is my thought. If your bathrooms don't suit her aesthetic, then she can provide her own. I'm honestly curious about how the conversation went. Sister: hey sis, can you let us use your beautiful farmhouse and barn for the wedding? You will? Great, it'll save us a ton of money, and your property is just so beautiful. It's so gracious of you. Thank you for letting us use your home. Now get to packing all your crap because I don't want any of my wedding guests to see your tacky house decor. What's with all the junk? Ugh, they might associate it with me and my wedding. It's not a big deal, just think of it as moving all of your crap out of your home for a week or 2 so I can have my perfect wedding. I don't see what the problem is. What do you mean you won't remove all your junk from your home? Mom! OP, you're not the idiot. The sister, however,